Thank you for joining us today. If you could tell us your name and where you're visiting from.
My name is Tanya Miller, and I teach at Enterprise SDA Elementary School in Enterprise, Kansas, and I teach grades 2 through 8.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of grades.
Yes.
And I know that from talking with you, you've shared that you've been using big ideas from grades 6 through 8. Can you tell me a little bit how that's been working for you?
I really like Big Ideas math because it's very user-friendly for a multi-grade situation, because each lesson is designed to take 2 days. And so there'll be instruction one day, and then the next day the student's on their own. I mean, you still answer questions, but you don't have to teach those 2 days. So it's good for the teacher because you don't have to teach that lesson every day, and it's good for the student because they have time to really understand that concept that they're learning.
Can you share a little bit more about, that would make sense to me if you have just 7th and 8th grade, you flip-flop, but since you have your grades and then specifically 6 through 8 that are doing big ideas, how do you balance those 3 grades with that?
Well, the textbook recommends that each student, that each 6 through 8 starts out, before they do their lesson, they do an exploration activity. And you're not supposed to help them at all. They're not allowed to ask any questions. This way they'll struggle, so then when they do their lesson the next day, they'll truly understand what they're doing. And I've found that this method does work sometimes, but in other situations it doesn't work. And when you're busy working with another class and you have a student sitting there and saying, "I'm done after 5 minutes," it can be a little bit difficult. And so what I've done to change it a little bit is, for those students that just don't learn that way, instead of having them do the exploration activity the first day, we do it the second day. And the first day we'll teach the lesson and they'll work on the assignment, and then the next day they'll do the activity and other activities if they truly didn't understand it. And that's one way to do it.
Okay. I know that you were talking about them working on their assignments. Are there any other resources or tools or anything that you found that really helps you out with that?
Yes, they have many tools online, except one that I find that is really great, especially when, let's say, 2 out of the 3 grades need a lesson to be taught, and you don't want to have them waiting on you. They have some online tutorials that the students can access themselves online. And so if you have technology in your classroom, this would be a great way to use it. And so while you're teaching one grade, the other grade can go online, access the tutorial, and see if they can learn it themselves. And then I go back and I check with them, but usually this gives them a boost. It's also good for a reteach tool as well. There are other extra assignments that are useful as well, but that's probably my favorite.
Excellent. So if you were to give advice to somebody who's in a similar situation as yourself, what would you say?
I would definitely say the first thing before you do anything is to watch the online tutorial on how to use the entire website. I must admit, I didn't do this until way later in the year, and I totally regretted it, because there's so much information out there that I didn't even realize. And so it does take a little bit to watch the tutorial, but it's definitely worth your time. It'll save you a lot of time in the end. The second thing is just to be creative. Just take note, every class is different, and they'll need their own formula to make it work. So just because it works for me, it might not work for someone else, but you can be creative and adapt it to your situation.
Excellent. Sounds like you have a really great system set in place for this, and I just really appreciate you coming and talking to us about it today. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.